concentrate on three directions in terms of knowledge. One is Sima of Sahih Muslim. Okay, so it's only reading. And the second is dirasa. So we just read the hadith and then dig into its meaning. And third is just some subjects on the side. So the first one was some important issues related to the aqeeda. Okay. And the next one, Sulaiman will decide what is going to be. Anyway, so that was actually in terms of prohibition of narrating from the weak narrators as well as consciousness in terms of receiving knowledge. Okay, so if you have any questions about the topic, so you can ask now, or otherwise we are going to the next point, and the next point is Imam Muslim narrating fiqhi ahadith. So we are going to touch upon fasting and marriage. If you have any questions about the previous issue, you can ask, or otherwise we'll start the thing about the fiqhiyas.
It's a different question.
Yeah.
It's okay?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's from, we did the biography yesterday.
Yeah.
And there was a point that says that Imam Muslim ibn Hajjaj recorded only such narratives as were reported by two reliable successors from two Sahaba, which subsequently travelled through two independent, unbroken isnads consisting of sound narrators.
Yeah.
Imam Muhammad al-Bukhari has not followed such a strict criterion.
No, it's actually, I don't know.
This is the point that was on the paper, and I just had a question related to the Mustala and so on, and this makes it sound like everything in Muslim would be Aziz, if it's 222. But it seems maybe it would be a Gharib hadith.
If you remember in Nukhbat al-Fikr, Ibn Hajar says, وَلَيْسَ شَرْطًا لِلصَّحِيحِ فَعْلَمِي. It is in the nazm of Nukhbat al-Fikr, means for the hadith, for the authenticity of the hadith, its being Aziz is not a condition. That is mu'tamad. But yet, on the side, there are many muhaddithin say, for the authenticity, we need Aziz as a minimum. Means Gharib, according to them, is not authentic. But I'm not quite confident that if that is the condition of Muslim. I don't believe so, no. But some say that it was the condition of Bukhari. But the first ever hadith of Bukhari destroys that. Because إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ is Gharib from the beginning up to the tabi'in, am I right? So, فَلَيْسَ شَرْطًا لِلصَّحِيحِ فَعْلَمِي. So that is the mu'tamad. So, hadith being Aziz is not condition of authenticity, that is the mu'tamad. So, Gharib is still authentic. But again, we emphasize quite a lot that fiqhi authenticity is totally different to the hadithi authenticity. Okay? For us, so maybe in some certain issues, maybe we may put some extra conditions. Okay, for example, Hanafis are a bit strict. For example, we say one of the conditions of the Gharib hadith, Khabar Ahad, being authentic, it shouldn't be something which everyone needs that and only one Sahabi narrates. Okay, so we give an example of, for example, touching private place. Okay, only one Sahabi narrates that it invalidates wudu, but then 124th Sahaba, there is no anything from any of them, except only one Sahabi. So does it mean that no any of the Sahaba could perform valid wudu? Okay, so something that everyone gets engaged, so it should be narrated widely. Okay, so it is the same thing. For example, 10,000 people will go to the town center, and only one person will narrate saying, actually, Mike Tyson was there. And only one knows. But all of them were there. We say it is sufficient for us to say that he's lying. Because how come that 10,000 people go there and only one person says that there was some incident? And you ask the rest of them, they know nothing about it. We say it is, even if that chain is authentic, we say it's sufficient for us to say that hadith is fabricated. Okay, because it is something common, everyone needs it, and only one person knows. We say not accepted. Okay. Anyway, inshallah, our students, inshallah, who are studying Fiqh al-Azhar with us, inshallah, we'll go with them to revise all of the conditions of Abu Hanifa, which he adds up for the authenticity. Anyway, any other questions? Anything else?
Just a quick one.
Yes.
What was the madhab of Imam Muslim?
So them two scholars, we don't know nothing about them, Bukhari and Muslim. Okay, in terms of beginning. Okay, but at the end, Imam Bukhari 100% he did follow his own something. Okay, but there was no such madhab called Bukhari madhab. Okay, but for example, if you go to the chapters, names of the chapters of Sahih Bukhari, you understand what exactly he believes. Okay, so as well as we made very recently, we made some video. You can just go to watch. Okay, as well as Imam Muslim, them two muhaddithin, we don't know their madhab. Okay, but Tirmidhi is obviously Shafi'i, Nasa'i and Abu Dawud both are Hanbali, Ibn Majah is Shafi'i. Okay, and Darimi most likely Shafi'i, teacher of Imam Bukhari. Okay, Imam Malik is obviously Maliki. Okay, so he's the founder of the Madhab. And the rest of the latest ones, most of them either Hanbali or either Shafi'is. Okay, the earliest ones, which is for example Yahya ibn Ma'in, okay, Abdul Rahman al-Mahdi, okay, all of them category Wakia, all of them are Hanafis. Okay, so that I just split. But Bukhari and Muslim Allah knows. Bukhari and Muslim we don't know. So it is in the Sahih Muslim, it is the chapter number 13, 1-3, called Kitab al-Siyam. So it is the book of fasting. Bab la taqaddamu Ramadan bisawmi yawmin wala yawmain. Do not start fasting before Ramadan 1 or 2 days. La taqaddamu, it is summarized version of la tataqaddamu. Okay, it normally happens. Okay, when in the chapter, in the bab, in the Sarfi bab of taf'il, tafa'ul, sorry, when it is fi'al mudari', okay, mukhatab, all of the forms of mukhatab, they time to time delete one task because it is tatafa'alu, tata'allamu, so they can say ta'allamu, la ta'allamu, means la tata'allamu. Summarized version. قال الإمام مسلم حدثنا أبو بكر ابن أبي شيبة وأبو كريب قال أبو بكر حدثنا وكيع عن علي بن مبارك. Now question, as we can see, Imam Muslim is narrating the hadith from two people, Abu Bakr ibn Abi Shayba and Abu Kurayb, and after that he says قال Abu Bakr. Why he's not saying قال, them two said, عن فلان عن فلان, which normal, I mean we saw that say Imam Muslim narrating from two people, and after that, for example, قال Mhmd ibn Ismail, for example, he says عن Mhmd ibn Ismail وأبي بكر ibn Abi Shayba قال حدثنا, means Ibn Abi Shayba and Imam Bukhari, both of them said, for example, عن فلان عن Rasulullah, for example. So in here, what does he say? حدثنا أبو بكر ابن أبي شيبة وأبو كريب قال أبو بكر. Why Imam Muslim is not saying قال? Yes.
The wording was different.
Excellent. Means from here we understand that even though if the same hadith was narrated through Abu Kurayb and Abu Bakr ibn Abi Shayba, so the proper wording is different to each other. And here is Imam Muslim in this hadith, he is narrating the wording of Abu Bakr ibn Abi Shayba. So that, but when he will say qala, means they both narrated on the same wording, on the same way. Excellent. So, حدثنا أبو بكر ابن أبي شيبة وأبو كريب قال أبو بكر means ابن أبي شيبة حدثنا وكيع عن علي بن مبارك عن يحيى بن أبي كثير عن أبي سلمة عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا تقدموا رمضان بصوم يوم ولا يومين إلا رجل كان يصوم صوما فليصمه, means do not start fasting before 1 day or 2 days before Ramadan, except someone used to have a habit of fasting in that day, for example, Mondays. Okay? And it was, so 1 day before Ramadan, it was exactly Monday. So then he can fast. Means rest of the situations prohibited according to this hadith. وَحَدَّثَنَاهُ, and then حَدَّثَنَاهُ, and then both of them narrated. I'm sorry. So the same hadith was narrated from Yahya ibn Bishr al-Hariri. حدثنا معاوية ibn Salam, means تحويل. وحدثنا ابن المثنى حدثنا أبو عامر حدثنا هشام تحويل again وحدثنا محمد بن المثنى محمد بن المثنى وابن أبي عمر أو ابن أبي عمر قال حدثنا عبد الوهاب بن عبد المجيد حدثنا أيوب تحويل وحدثني زهير بن حرب حدثنا حسين بن محمد حدثنا شيبان كلهم عن يحيى بن أبي كثير بهذا الإسناد نحوه. So all of them narrated exactly by the same sanad, exactly on the same matan. Okay. Now let's talk about the fiqh of this hadith. So as you can see, hadith is quite obvious in terms of prohibition of fasting before Ramadan, 1 or 2 days before Ramadan. So Abu Hanifa said it will be permissible if it is 3 days, with no intention of doubt and with no intention of Ramadan. Okay. Main thing in here is two things. One is increasing the number of the days of Ramadan. Okay, so there is a narration in which Rasulullah ﷺ says, hadith is narrated actually by Tabarani. Rasulullah ﷺ says, كان على النصارى صوم شهر فمرض رجل منهم فقالوا لئن الله عز وجل شفاه لنزيدن 10 ثم كان ملك آخر فأكل لحما فوجع فوه فقالوا لئن الله عز وجل شفاه لنزيدن 7 ثم كان آخر فقالوا لنتممن هذه 7 الأيام ونجعله صومنا في الربيع قال فصار 50. So the main prohibition, it was if you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُم, means Ramadan fasting, it was compulsory even in the previous nations. But why they do not fast in Ramadan? Okay, for example, Jews, they do fast in some other days. Again, mainly in the spring, as far as I know. As well as Christians, in my knowledge, Orthodox Christians, they fast 40 or 50 days. Again, during the spring. Am I right? Do I have any ex-Christians? Anyone? So anyway, so what happened? Rasulullah says it was compulsory upon Christians to fast in Ramadan 1 month. Okay, but then one of the imperials, kings, became ill. So most likely he was very good, just king. So then people say, if Allah will give him health, we increase 10 more days. So maybe he was very good king. Okay, so then Allah gave him health. So some Ramadan became 40 days. And then another king, again, so something happened, okay, to him. And again they made like intention that if Allah gives him health, we will fast 7 extra days. So it became 47 days. And another incident happened with another king, maybe again just king. So what did they do? We will add up extra 3 days and we make the Siyam of Ramadan solidly in the spring. Means Ramadan is not moving no more, you know. It's not moving. Okay, so when Allah gave them health, so Siyam of Ramadan became no more Ramadan, but it became Siyam of spring, and it's no more 30 days, but it is 50 days. Hadith is narrated by Tabarani. Okay, so that was the main concern. So Rasulullah forbade us to add up anything before Ramadan. Okay, as well as after Ramadan, Rasulullah, if you know, says anyone who fasts Ramadan and follows by fasting 6 days of Shawwal, so he will be considered as fasting whole year. Abu Hanifa said not accepted. Imam Malik said not accepted. Hadith not accepted. Authentic. Okay. Imam Malik radiallahu anhu says, "Ma ra'aytu ahadan min al-fuqaha yasumuha." I've never seen any of the scholars fasting them 6 days. Now let's think about the hadith. Let's think about the hadith. If you fast whole 30 days of Ramadan, it will give you 300 days of reward. Am I right? But then after that, if you follow 6 days in Shawwal, so that will be 60 days of reward. Because 1 day equals reward of 10 days. Am I right? Now my question. So So now you have 30 days equals 300 days. So for you, in order to get the reward of 60 days, why does it have to be in Shawwal? Why it cannot be in Rajab, for example? Or why it cannot be Dhul Qa'dah or Dhul Hijjah? Why not? Because 1 equals 10 is not only in Shawwal, it could be any time. Am I right? So then why is specifically in Shawwal? Doesn't make sense. Imam Malik said no, Abu Hanifa said no. But then Abu Yusuf and Imam Muhammad, they said it is recommended, mustahab. Okay, so that is the official Hanafi position. But then, just, even though if we are going with Abu Yusuf, but the consideration of Abu Hanifa is still there. To avoid them 6 days being added up to Ramadan, we say it is recommended to make it separately and not sequentially. Okay? So just to avoid that all of them 40 days, okay, or 36 days becomes like as in one go. Okay, just to avoid what happened to the Christians. Okay, but in my own understanding, what Abu Hanifa says is more stronger. So because for you, in order to get the reward of 1 whole year, you can fast Ramadan, and after 5 months you can fast 6 days. You will get the reward of 1 year. It doesn't have to be in Shawwal. And Imam Malik made his statement saying, no any of the fuqaha did. Okay? Anyway, now let's forget about Shawwal. Hadith is saying, do not start up your fasting before Ramadan 1 day or 2 days before that. Okay, 3 of the mazahib, Hanafi, Maliki, and Shafi'i say it is prohibited to start fasting before Ramadan. If you mean for the Ramadan, according to 4 madhahib, it is haram. Okay? But there is disagreed upon issue, which is the day of shaq. Okay, first of all, what is the definition of day of shaq? Day of shaq is, today is 29th of Shaban. And month could be 29 days, lunar month, or 30 days. Means if it is 29th, expired, so last day it could be 30th of Shaban or 1st of Ramadan. Both possibilities are there. But then it was cloudy. So we were unable to see the moon, newborn moon. But what about if it is not cloudy, but we didn't see? So does it mean that next day is day of shaq? We say no. Day of shaq is only when it is cloudy. But if it is not cloudy, so we did not see the newborn moon, means it is 30th day of Shaban. But if it is cloudy day, so we are unable, so that is a doubtful. So it could be that newborn moon is there, but because of clouds we didn't see it. And it may be that there is no newborn moon, 50-50. So that is day of shaq. Now question. Is it permissible to fast on day of shaq? Imam Ahmad said it is wajib. It is wajib. As you can see, this hadith is not only in Muslim, but it is in Bukhari also. Imam Ahmad is opposing the hadith of Bukhari. Not only ignoring, but actually opposing. Rasulullah says, do not. Imam Ahmad says, do it. Okay? So that is proper, you can say, opposing the hadith. But then, what is the explanation of Imam Ahmad? Imam Ahmad says, if you remember in the hadith in which Rasulullah says, "Sumu bi ru'yatihi wa aftiru bi ru'yatihi wa in ghumma alaykum faqduru lahu." So start fasting by seeing newborn moon and stop fasting by seeing a newborn moon. But what about if it will be cloudy? Rasulullah said, "Faqduru lahu." Qadara yaqduru. It will mean 2 things. One is قَدَّرُ يُقَدِّرُ. قَدَّرَ, measure it. Okay? Means count them. And another thing, قَدَرَ يَقْدِرُ, means to tighten. Okay? وَمَنْ قُدِرَ عَلَيْهِ رِزْقُهُ, Allah says. And anyone who has got his income tightened, means small. So according to this interpretation, فَقْدُرُوا لَهُ لِشَعْبَانِ means if it will be cloudy, tighten the Sha'ban. Tightening the Sha'ban means making it shorter, 29 days. Okay? But Malikis, Hanafis and Shafi'is, they say hadith narrated by many other chains فَقْدُرُوا لَهُ ثَلَاثِينَ يَوْمًا means then count Shaban as 30 days. Now there is no any possibility of Hanbali interpretation. Okay? So anyway, as well as not only that, but the three madhahib, Hanbalis, Shafi'is, Malikis and Hanafis, they bring another hadith in which Rasulullah says, hadith is in Mustadrak, authentic, in which Rasulullah says, Man sama yawm Ammar bin Yasir says, Man sama yawm al-shakki faqad asa Abul Qasim. Anyone who fasts on yawm al-shak, so he disobeyed the Prophet. And understanding of the Sahabi is above the understanding of Imam Ahmad. Okay, so as you can see, Ammar bin Yasir understood from that hadith that yawm al-shak is prohibited. Okay. Okay, so that is actually about this issue. The next, do you have any questions about this matter? The next is the chapter number 16 of Sahih Muslim, Kitabun Nikah. Yes?
Yeah, but in this day and age, the situation where some people fast one day, the different days when they start fasting, how do you do the situation?
Yeah. That is actually between Shafis and Hanafis. We Hanafis believe that in terms of Ramadan and Shawwal, there is only one moon sighting. So wherever, in any place in the world, people will see the first newborn moon. So the rest of the world have to follow that. Okay, but that has to be announced by a legal official judge. Okay, but according to Shafis, they have like moon sighting in different localities. Okay. So it could be that, for example, we Hanafis are living in 2013, but Shafis are still living in maybe 15th century somewhere, because they do have their own moon somewhere there. Just joking.
Normally you find that the Pakistani community does it a day later.
Okay.
So that wouldn't
No,
correspond with that.
maybe they are following Shafi position. I understand what you mean. I don't know, but why do they do it? Maybe they do not trust. Maybe they believe that people are following calculation. Maybe calendar. As you know, for example, the maybe Gulf countries, they do have calendar. Even now, they do have that calendar for beginning of Ramadan. Even now, this year, they know when exactly, and they never differ to that. Means they're following properly. Purely, they're following calendar. And we're not allowed to follow calendar. Rasulullah said, "Sumu li ru'yatihi," start fasting by seeing it. But if you will be unable, فَإِنْ غُمَّ عَلَيْكُمْ فَقْدُرُوا. And if you will be unable, so then finish off Shaban. But third way of a calendar, it is not mentioned in Hadith. It's only two valid ways. Yes.
Sorry, Sheikh. Firstly, what's the Gulf countries' proof for doing that? Because it causes a big controversy.
Maybe yes, that's one thing, or maybe because mashallah in the Gulf countries they go with the Islamic calendar. So if it will not be, if it's non-certainty, so it's economical thing also. So means they have to be holidays, etc. So it's like a economic basis maybe. That's the main thing maybe. Allah. Yeah. Any other question before you?
So, Sheikh, were you saying in Hanafi it's legitimate for, let's say I'm living in Pakistan and I'm judge, and I say I've seen moon. So even in England we can.
It's compulsory in Hanafi madhab. It's compulsory to start fasting everywhere in the world. According to Hanafis.
Even far away.
No excuse. In Hanafi, no excuse.
So someone in Saudi,
Yeah,
they said that they saw the moon, and then it's announced.
We do not go with that, but Qadi has to announce it. It should be valid announcement of the Qadi. But if someone says, in for example Saudi, I saw, and Qadi rejects it, means no moon sighting. Qadi has to announce. Okay, Muslim legal Qadi has to announce.
See, you want about if it's in, for example, moon sightings in America, where there's no official Qadi. There's the non-Muslim observatories announced that there's a sighting.
Yeah, we do not follow that. It should be Muslim judge announcing. making statement that in our country, moon sighting. Now we say everyone is compulsory upon everyone.
Why debate for Morocco to announce it, usually for the UK?
But it doesn't have to be Morocco. I think it is Shafi'i position because they say maybe Moroccan, UK, same locality maybe. But we say even if it is, for example, in India or Pakistan or whatever.
You know, these days often, but you need to know by Maghrib, you know, what you're doing for Tarawih and so on stuff. And then it might not be an official announcement by a Qadi, but there's like committees in South Africa or something often comes. Is that valid, or does it have to be?
It is a good question. I say, because you know, we Hanafis, there is another thing which we say, if you are living in non-Muslim land, so in Hanafi madhab there is one compulsion which most of us are missing. What is that? In each single locality, like authorities of that locality, they have to appoint someone who will replace the judge, who will be looking after the Muslims, Muslim duties, marriage problems, separation problems, okay? And his name is not Qadi, but he will replace the Qadi in non-Muslim land.
For the whole of the UK? Or
not in each locality.
Or each city?
For example, London, East London, so there will be one person. Okay, for example, now we do have an issue of husband is not maintaining the wife. Okay, according to Shafi'i, separation is valid. But for us to issue the separation, we need Qadi. So how do we do it in the UK? We say this person will replace the Qadi. Okay, means authorities of that locality. What's the meaning of authority? So it could be, even it could be drug dealers also. Authority means the person who is respected. When he speaks, people obey. So authority does not mean Maulanas, but it means that person who is respected. So if he says that what's going to, just to cut the fitna, you know. So it could be, so it is a respected person in that locality. So 10 respected, one businessman, okay, one, for example, so respected person, people, 10 of them will appoint one person to look after Muslims. Why? Because if any problem will happen, Muslims not obeying that person, so the local authorities who appointed them, they will say, just sit down there, and then people will sit down. So just to cut so authorities, we need them to cut the problems. Okay, so it could be criminal authorities also. Okay, so the most important thing just to cut the problem. Okay, because for example, in Muslim land, if judge says, for example, stop doing some certain thing, government will support him. Am I right? So government will make the people to obey that judgment. Okay, but for example, if in non-Muslim land, we have in each single street, for example, in Dewsbury, we have Qadi. Okay, if they will shout as loudest as they can, no one will listen to them. Why? Because there is nothing backing them up. Okay, so then backing them up in non-Muslim land, so it could be authorities, respected people, okay, who are respected and obeyed. Okay.
Yeah. So Sheikh, how would it work then for Ramadan?
Yeah.
Because if each locality has a different or a person of authority, then you could have differences where they're fasting in London and not fasting in Manchester.
In Hanafi madhab we say, if one judge will announce everywhere in the world, they have to start fasting.
So if this person of authority, he's the person who announces based on the other country.
Okay,
I want to know the process.
Okay, so that is the question. So I say, because even though if he will replace the Qadi, but he's not going to be, on the level of Qadi. Disobeying the Qadi is sin. Sometimes it could be major sin, but disobeying this person, is it on the same level sin or not? So I say it is sin, but it is not on that level as a Muslim judge. Because Muslim judge represents Muslim government. And going, like, not obeying Muslim governor is major sin. When this person is representing the authorities who appointed them. And disobeying them, it is sin, but it may not be major.
So is it the job of this person, responsible person, is it the job of that person to check for abroad and announce that news?
Of course. He's responsible for all of the Islamic duties. Okay, so whatever we do Islamically, marriage, masail, okay, divorce issues, and all of them issues. Yeah.
Does this also apply to Eid? Because we
Yeah, of course, yeah.
We have this problem where if Saudi Arabia sees the moon,
Only for the Eid al-Fitr. But Eid al-Adha, even we Hanafis believe that it is local moon sighting. But Ramadan and Eid al-Fitr, only for them too, is a global moon sighting.
okay, so when Eid happens,
Yeah.
if Saudi Arabia sees the moon,
Yeah.
then we should follow.
We have to stop fasting. It's not permissible to fast in that day.
So then why do we have a clash in this country where some people follow Saudi and some people don't?
I think it's maybe Shafi position, maybe. Or maybe misunderstanding, or maybe some other reason. But that's what Hanafi see. So, beginning of Ramadan and the day of Eid al-Fitr, Eid of Ramadan is one global moon sighting in Hanafi. But Eid al-Adha is local moon sighting in Hanafi, as the rest of the four madhahib. Yeah. So we disagree with them only in the beginning of Ramadan and the Eid al-Fitr only. So it could be that today is Arafah day today, okay, but people in Hajj, they are in the Eid al-Adha. We say perfectly fine, because it is local moon sighting. Yeah.
Sorry, last question. So,
Yeah, don't worry.
so going back to the issue of the South African committees,
Yeah.
is you saying that committee is valid
Yeah, it
because
is.
it is a responsible local authority?
As long as it is appointed by local authority, I say their statement is valid, yes.
Okay,
Their statement is, but disobeying them will not constitute a major sin, as if it would be in Muslim land, disobeying the governments. Okay? The next is Kitabun Nikah. Nikah in Arabic language, in Hanafi madhab. Literal meaning of nikah? Yeah.
We're going to have to stop there with the smart.
Okay. Okay, so anyway, inshallah, it is the chapter of Sima.